Good morning. We'll call the Wednesday morning, January 10th board meeting or criminal justice meeting to order. Start with roll call, please.
Mr. Hess?
Present.
Mr. Long?
Present.
Mr. Fairfield? Mr. Tholen? Mr. Carrico? Ms. Dreckhoff?
Present.
Mr. Hunter?
Present.
Ms. Turner?
Present.
Ms. Monday?
Present.
Ms. Andrade?
Present.
Ms. Armour Earps? Ms. Rittman-McKemmy?
Present.
Mr. Scanlon? Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Present.
We have a quorum.
I have not received anything for public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Any public comment? Moving on to the approval of the minutes from November 15th, 2023. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Hunter, second by Mr. Long. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next, Chief Judge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Okay, good morning. I just want to report that the courtroom renovations on the technology have been proceeding smoothly. We now have 6 of 9 courtrooms that are completed with the new AV equipment, the new Zoom equipment, speakers, TV monitors. So we're now able to connect to the jail without using the 2 tin cans and a long string. And it is excellent, excellent quality, excellent picture, and we can hear the jail, they can hear us. And also that allows us to comply with the Supreme Court mandate that we open our courtrooms up to Zoom for certain proceedings. So we're able to do that as well. And then that we also have the 4 evidence carts. We call them evidence carts. They're evidence podiums. They're basically an oversized podium, and they have the capability to connect into the AV system to present evidence through that cart. It's got an overhead projector on it. It's got a DVD player, and it also has the ability for the witness who's sitting in the witness chair. There's a monitor up there. They can actually annotate what's up on the monitors by using a stylus on the small monitor at the witness chair. If we have a witness like a doctor or someone, just anyone describing an accident scene or something, they can write right on the monitor. The jury can see it in real time. So we expect to have the other 3 courtrooms done in February. They're taking a little break. They have to do another job, but then they'll be back in our courtrooms to finish that up. That's really all I have to report on. So.
Any questions, Mr. Wheeler?
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Are you still going to be using those OWL devices as part of this system in the courtroom?
Yes, that's still
part of it.
Still part of it. If necessary, we do have 3 cameras, so we've got a pretty good spread on and we have a camera directly on the witness chair, so it may not be as necessary, but it's still available. Yeah,
it's still available.
Yep.
Okay. It's just if you have an extra one laying around, I thought it might be a good thing for our boardroom because an owl moves on whoever's talking, and so it would zoom in on whoever's talking, which we have a static thing here. Just I hate going to buy stuff when we got stuff we're not using anymore. If that. The other thing was, does it help you in your argument for letting us, when you're talking to AOIC about doing detention hearings via Zoom, does that help saying all of our courtrooms are set up? I'm not saying it will move the needle, but boy, that would be a logistical win for us if we didn't have to be dragging people. I shouldn't have said dragging, but motoring people across town. Yes,
that's certainly a good argument. And the other argument is that the Supreme Court has said, we want to do this. The problem is that it's a legislative mandate that people be brought over. And so the Supreme Court in their administrative responsibility said, okay, but we're going to give it a 6-month lag until we actually start enforcing that. So we are going to bring it up at our Chief Judge's meeting next week, but I think the fix is really legislative.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Your Honor, any comments regarding the Safety Act that you'd like to make in terms of your observations, some vicissitudes, problems, time constraints, etc. Some observations that you've made regarding the impact of the Safety Act.
The biggest problem that we're experiencing is that on those days when we have 18, 19, 20 people in custody, there's a great percentage of those that are in custody on detainable offenses. And when we can only hold them over like till the next day. So those all have to go to hearing when the state files a petition to detain, and they do file on every detainable offense from what I've seen. Every domestic battery, misdemeanor charge, or it could be a felony charge, but they're filing on all of those. All of those require the hearings. I'm calling them mini trials because they actually do have to, the state has to present evidence by proffer. In other words, they just have to say what happens, but they get to go into that. The defense has an opportunity to respond and call witnesses. So it can be a mini trial. Well, in the past, that hearing might have taken 2 or 3 minutes. Now they're taking 20, 30, 45 minutes each. So that is tying up our judges to do those hearings. And if they have a jury trial that day, we have to push it to another judge who may have to continue cases in order to hear those detention hearings. So it's taking a lot more time, and that's just on the judiciary. I know it's taking a lot more time on the state's attorney's part and the public defender's part, because they have to go talk to the people and be prepared for review their criminal record. They have to be prepared for that detention hearing. So it's taking a lot more time. That's what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing that there are people being detained pretty regularly. I mean, we don't detain everybody that they file a petition on, because the statute says we have to look at other alternatives like GPS monitoring or a stay away order, which doesn't really do much, but we have to look at all the alternatives before we decide to detain them.
I remember that this is a follow-up. I'm not sure if I have all my facts, but I remember the sheriff made a representation regarding the incident regarding some individuals who came from up north. I don't know if it was Lansing or whatever, and there was a car chase, throughout the county, and as a consequence of that, they were apprehended with the due diligence of our first responders. But those guys were only kept overnight, and they were released the next day. With respect to your chief judges meeting, it may require some recommendations from that group or state's attorneys groups or whatever, or whomever, regarding identifying some other, charges or violations in order to keep some of those people in jail. Might there be some efforts on the judge's part or state's attorney's organization to address that? Because there are certain violations or charges or
Use your mic, please, Steve.
So I was just wondering, what do you think about that? Because I'm sure the sheriff gave a very eloquent discussion about those bad guys who they chased all over Cook, Will, Kankakee County, but then they were released the next day.
Yeah. I'm not that familiar with, I mean, I know about the case, but it's not in my courtroom, so I'm not that familiar with what exactly happened, and I'm not allowed to comment on a pending case at the courthouse. But
okay.
Generally, at our chief judges meeting, the Justice Tice, who's the Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court, is at our meetings, so she hears exactly what our discussion is and what's going on. So she's made aware of what our concerns are, and that will be. I'm not sure if you're advocating a legislative fix for what you're saying, but
yeah, because I've talked with State's Attorney Rowe, and he's identified certain things, violations or that are not covered under the Safety Act in terms of keeping folks in jail, and maybe there may be a legislative remedy to address the concerns that he has.
Yes, that's the state's attorney's job to, and the state's attorney's association would be on that, as opposed to the judges advocating legislative changes to make something more detainable or less detainable. That's not really our job, because we're neutral, we're in the middle. We don't advocate one way or the other as far as imposing stricter penalties. We're more about the administration of it. So if we're talking about, you know, let us do these by Zoom. You wanted us to do Zoom, and now we've got the equipment. Let us do our hearings by Zoom instead of transporting everybody back and forth.
So the 6-month trial, and you know, to piggyback on what the chairman indicated, how will the assessment be made with respect to extending that or that terminating that 6-month period? What is going to be the?
Well, the order expires March 18th, so on that date, it's expired if the Supreme Court doesn't take it up again and try to extend it. So that's what we're going to try to get them to do. But as I said, the fix is legislative, because they can't keep saying to the legislature, yeah, you passed a law, but we're going to ignore it.
Well, let me ask you this, and you're saying that you guys are neutral in terms of judges, but don't you have an opinion that you could convey to the chief judge of the Supreme Court?
Well, we can on administrative issues like what we're talking about, but not as far as making penalties stiffer or making certain offenses detainable versus non-detainable. That's not our bailiwick there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions for the judge? Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, Ms. Cianci from the Circuit Clerk's Office. And you have a copy, or in your package, you have a copy of her monthly report. Take a motion to approve by Mr. Eckhoff, second by Mr. Long. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning.
Comments on your report?
Nope, everything's normal and customary. If anybody has any questions for me.
Any questions on the report? We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
So the update with the conversion to Tyler is going very well. We are on pace. They're very happy with us, and we are with them. Right now we're working on the financial piece of it. So like for instance, this 3-page sheet that you see, well, there's thousands of citations and different laws and things. Well, they all pour into these buckets, so we have to touch each one of them and map it over from Courtview to Tyler. So that's what they're doing right now. There's about 5 people working on it right now. So they're doing that this week for sure, and possibly next week. And then, you know, we'll move on to each phase, and then they're going to do another push, they call it, where they're doing a data push, and then we can test and see if what we're doing is mapping correctly, and if we need to go back and tweak a few things. So it's going very well.
Good. Any questions for Sandy? Mr. Hunter.
Brief, your comments, impact of the Safety Act, and my second question, your attrition rate. Are you losing people or not?
Actually, I have one that announced her retirement at the end of the month. So, but as far as that goes, no.
Senior person or?
Yeah. Yeah. She's been here 18 years, so she's decided it's time to retire. So as far as the Safety Act, like the judge said, the cases, you know, are just pushed back or, you know, condensed, or, you know, like he said, they're reassigning it to the different judges, and the judges are already busy, so it's kind of hard to, you know, put more things, you know, 10 pounds in a 5-pound sack. It's just a lot going on. But
yeah, and you know, I just asked, that's a redundant question. You know, I pose every time, because all of you guys to a person have said the same thing. So, and so I take that as being candid, honest, and
Yep.
transparent.
Yep. No, it keeps us hopping. That's for sure.
Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you. So I guess the general assumption that we're operating with in terms of courts, outside of the political nature of how cases are handled, or
Mhm.
the operations got much more complicated, which always means they get more expensive.
Mhm.
And less revenue is there now
For sure.
to cover those costs.
For sure.
That's really the end result of what we're talking about operationally.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff is somebody else's chamber to fix. Unfortunately, it's just ours to deal with.
Correct.
So,
So yeah, because you can tell by all the reports, you know, our December was 287 is what we dispersed, almost 289,000. Our collections, you know, are rather pitiful. We only collected 18,000 through Harris and Harris this last month, where a year ago it was 41,000. Really, the month of November and December they're pretty low, you know. Well, actually 23,000, but our bigger months are usually February, March, and April because we do the tax intercept. But as you can see, our total from collections this year was only $423,000, and in 2021 we had over $1 million. So that's a pretty deep cut. So other than that,
Any other questions for Sandy?
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Up next, State's Attorney's Office, Mr. Coughlin. In the package, you have a copy of the grand jury report and the grand jury statistics report. Take a motion to approve them by Mr. Carrico, second, Mr. Long. Good morning, Jim. Good morning. Comments on the report, sir?
I'm available for any questions anybody has, but other than that, I don't have any comments on the reports.
Any questions on the reports? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Questions for Mr. Coughlin? Mr. Hunter?
Real quick, I thought it was a pretty good idea to have the satellite offices out in Pembroke. You know, it saves the time for those individuals leaving from the east coast of the county, coming in and going back and so forth. Any comments about how that's going? Because I know recorder, you guys, does Sandy have a presence out there? I'm not sure, but how's it going? Your comments on that?
Well, I mean, from our office, it's going fine. It's we agree with you that we have a presence out in the eastern part of the county. Makes our availability to the people of Kankakee far more easy to do, rather than a lot of people have transportation problems getting into Kankakee itself.
Mm-hmm.
So for all those reasons, it's been working out. I mean, the more our office can be available to the people in the county, the better it is.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Up next, Public Defender's Office, Mr. Pentewick. In the package, you have a copy of his monthly report. Take a motion to approve that. Miss Monday, second by Miss Andrade.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ed. Comments on the report?
No comments. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Questions on his report? We have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I have nothing to add if anyone has any questions.
Questions? Mr. Wheeler?
I have one. I ought to ask this. It's not, I'll just preface this. It's not a comment, a passive aggressive comment about the operations of your office. Is the state talking about public defender in the same type of thoughts that they have about probation on them taking that over? I hear things.
It's inevitable. I think it's to answer your question. If that's your question, is that your question?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that is. Yeah, I didn't want to say I'm commenting about your operations. Like, I hope they do it. If we're looking at the future and planning capital needs and infrastructure, what's going on with public defender if you had a crystal ball, or what's the wind telling you coming out of Springfield?
I don't think it's a crystal ball. They're talking about it. They've been talking about it for a while. They're always tempering it with, like, we're just talking about it. But assuming no one from the state's listening, and if they are, it doesn't matter. It's inevitable. I think it's a political thing just to establish power through the state. Their reasoning is, which is also very valid, so I should be more careful what I say, is that they want statewide uniformity, they want standards, they want consistency. They don't want some small county in downstate having a part-time PD unable to fulfill their duties, and then Cook County or DuPage County being fully staffed with unlimited resources. So they're trying to balance that out specifically. I mean, it's not just esoteric conversation. It's exactly what they want to do. So then, yes, it would become like the appellate prosecutor, the appellate defender's office run through Springfield. It'd be the exact same way. And they're talking about specifics as to things like that, as far as districts and chief public defenders and people below him or her, and then
Would you say so? It sounds like it. You may be alluding to that it's taking more of a non-nebulous and more of a structural discussion format. Like, okay, we like this idea. What does that look like?
There's still lip service if they want our input, but I don't know if they do.
Okay, thank you.
Does that surprise you?
Hopefully no one's listening. Oh, gosh, actually, I shouldn't say anything because they could be my boss soon, so never mind.
One of the 6 people
How stupid am I? All right.
Any other questions for Mr. Pendlewick?
That's all I have.
One of 6 people.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sorry. Up next, probation, Mr. Latham. In the package, you have a copy of Tom's monthly report. Take a motion to approve that. Mr. Eckhoff, Miss Monday.
Sorry, I should have warned you.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Comments on your report, sir?
Just to touch on the totals for 2022, our overall contacts were down about 10%. Sorry. I'm sorry, 23. Compared to 22. I'm sorry. They were down about 10% overall. The overall contacts were, which the caseload was down about 4%. Plus, we had the vacancies that I always talk about, which probably impacted the contacts. I'm happy with that, with, like I said, with how many people we had gone, how many positions we had open. I think the staff did a great job at getting the job done. Hopefully that'll change in 24.
Questions? No questions? What else, sir?
Just an update on state pretrial services taking over. That transition's begun. There's 2 parts of that. One is the bond reports that are done every morning on everybody in custody. The other component is the supervision part of it. Right now they're doing the bond reports. Next step is they'll take over the supervision of the people they do bond reports on. And the third part will be they'll take over all our current cases. Which I don't know the exact timetable, but at least it started. They did lease a space. They're in the process of getting a space leased over at Knights of Columbus. That's still in the works, but it's a done deal, but I think it just has to go through their process in Springfield. And I'll have space over there. So really I'm hoping March-ish, end of March, early April, that it'll be totally taken over by the state, all pretrial responsibilities. And which will help us because those positions, we have 5 vacancies, a couple people, well, 3 from pretrial will move into probation side of things. And now we'll be down to 2 vacancies only, which anymore feels full staff. So does that make sense? The individuals in a pretrial, because we're gonna lose those positions. So we'll take them out of there and put them in probation side.
Mr. Wheeler.
The HR side of this, they're going to be. Where's their paycheck come from?
It's again grant and aid.
Oh, it's grant and aid.
Yeah, like right now, grant and aid.
See why I'm asking?
Yeah, no. We had the grant and aid positions open, and that was important when we asked them to take over, so we weren't cutting, really laying off people.
Right.
So now they'll move into those probation grant and aid numbers, those positions.
Okay.
From the pretrial, and the pretrial will fall off.
Well, that's what I'm sorry, pretrial. It should have been more clear. Like if there's none of that, like their payroll's not coming through us. It's all coming from the state.
No, it's totally separate.
We don't have to touch it, anything. It's all plugging.
It's all gone. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
thank you.
1 second. I didn't have a vote on the report. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Miss Monday, sorry.
That's okay. Just a quick question, and maybe you don't know, and that's fine. I'm just curious about the juvenile detention numbers compared to 2022.
Yeah, they were very similar. There's a.
Okay.
I think we had actually I had it written down here. We detained, I think, 75 juveniles in 22, which is 4 more than, or in 23, 4 more than in 22.
Okay, okay,
Detention days were up slightly, but that's holding very consistent.
okay. Just curious, thank you.
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Do you have any interns with Governor State, Olivet, KCC?
We do. I mean, not
You do?
currently right now, but we do on a pretty regular basis.
Okay.
We do, yeah.
And could you explain that program?
Well, it's the same as, you know, we have a structured program for them. They'll spend time in every part of the, you know, both adult, juvenile side of things. But it's very structured. We have them actually, they have a small caseload they're supervised with and everything like that. But they get a real feel of what's going on in the.
And you're very supportive of that?
Oh yeah, we you know, I'm surprised we don't have one right now, but it's ongoing all the time. We have interns in there on a regular basis. So
Let me ask you this.
we usually hold off no more than 2.
Right.
But
You know, when you think in terms of growing our own, have there been any opportunities for interns to actually secure full employment with you?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
it's a nice long interview, so you really get to know how good they are and how, you know, kind of employee they are. So yeah, we've definitely we have hired from the internship
Thank you.
program.
Any other questions for Mr. Latham?
That's
Thank
it.
you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Up next, the sheriff. In the package, you have a copy of the sheriff's monthly report. Take a motion to approve that. Ms. Andrade, and second by Mr. Eckhoff. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Certificate.
Yeah, I forgot it yesterday. Good morning. One important thing on the report before you approve it. If you look at, under the Corrections Division, under A, if you look under December 2023, that local number is incorrect. It should be 198 for the month of December. So that would change that number and then the number below it under 2. That was an oversight on our part, and I apologize for that, but that number is 198 local, so that's about as low as we've been. I couldn't tell you when we were under 200. And I'm guessing, and it's no secret, that's probably part of the Safety Act. Yeah. Everything else on the report, you can see that the out of counties for the month of December, if you recall, I told you that we don't have a whole lot more room, so our revenue number probably won't increase very much. However, we did bring in $3,600 more this December than we did last December, so that's a good start to the year. I don't see it increasing a whole lot each month, so those are the numbers that we have, just because of bed space. It's just a simple math equation. We can only put so many people in our facility. So I do want to ask, since we're in a new year, if there is anything on this report that you'd like to see different. I know this report has been pretty standard over the course of the last, gosh, probably before I was sheriff in 2016. So if there are things that you want to see monthly, if you know them now, you can tell me. If you want to shoot me an email or a text, you can do that as well, and we'll be happy to try to accommodate as best we can. That's it.
Miss Monday.
Just a question regarding the mental health calls. There was talk at some point in time a few months ago about a mental health counselor or social worker or something like that being employed and going on calls that warranted their assistance. Did that ever happen? Is that happening, or?
Not with our department. We have mental health people at our jail.
Right.
But we don't have individuals who go out on calls.
Go out.
Those are There are some agencies across the state that utilize that when they're available, but there's not a whole lot of them available to accommodate most police agencies.
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff Downey, yesterday there was a question posed, and we were looking for an answer for if a bus comes into town 4552, what's the action that you take, or what's the plan of action?
Well, the good news from the sheriff's department is that the first bus that came in actually came in city's jurisdiction, which, quite frankly, if you look at the possibilities of those buses coming up Interstate 57 like they have, I mean, there's the city of Kankakee, there's the village of Bourbonnais and the village of Bradley and the village of Manteno, who would more than likely, those buses would land in their jurisdiction. Following the bus that dropped off those individuals a couple weeks ago, obviously we got involved because our emergency services got involved. And say what you want about, you know, you can have, everybody can have their feelings about what's going on, but the fact of the matter is any human being who would let people out there just freeze and do nothing is not a human being. So I feel like it's our responsibility to make sure that these individuals are treated right and treated humanely and kept warm. And I know there's people out there who may not believe that, but I mean, that's just being human. If you can't take care of human beings, then you shouldn't be a public servant. So we'll do whatever we can, and we have worked very well. In fact, the day after that bus was here, we got all the mayors from those 4 towns, all the police chiefs from those 4 towns together, and came up with a plan if something like that would ever happen again. So we're prepared, but it's, you know, something that personally, my own opinion, I think it was an anomaly that they got dropped off in Kankakee. I think that they may have thought that we had access to the Metro train, and once they realized that we didn't, I don't know that we'll see another bus. I could be wrong, but I truly believe that they thought that they were going to have access to a train, much like they're doing in some of the other suburbs, and obviously we don't. So we haven't seen anything remotely close to anything like that since the first one happened.
I appreciate the collaborative efforts that you initiated with the surrounding community. So
I don't think we have a truck stop in a unincorporated.
We don't. Yeah, that's what I said. Any place that individuals are going to get dropped off are going to be in a municipality. That doesn't mean that we're not going to help. I mean, I've said this 100 times, you know, the agencies in Kankakee County all work together very well. And, you know, we will continue to do what we have to do to, in this case, get these individuals to where their intended destination was.
Any other questions on the report first?
yeah, follow up.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Are you going to be at that 11 o'clock meeting with Senator Joyce down at Duane Dean?
I don't think so.
Really?
Don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Amanda had a question.
Oh, Ms. Herbst.
For next year on the report, it'd be interesting to see how many people get arrested and how many are remained in custody or they're bonded. They don't have the bond or whatever.
So arrested and detained?
Correct. However you say that. It'd be interesting to see how many get let go and instead of staying in jail.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. That benefit us too.
Mr. Carrico.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff, I'd like to ask for if you could give us your opinion and your plans to work with the HB 3751, the law that came into effect that allowed non-citizens to become police officers to apply for the job. Because the way I understand this, that they extended that to the DACA recipients, but not all DACA recipients have work permit.
Right.
They have to go to DHS to apply for it. And some non-citizens may not have the rights to carry guns, so I'm kind of confused with the whole process.
So that is one issue, and obviously there's other issues about, you know, people have strong feelings about somebody who's not a citizen arresting somebody who is a citizen, whether they do whatever they do. One of the stipulations of that bill, Mr. Carrico, was that each sheriff or chief or municipality has the right not to hire those who are not U.S. citizens. And so that was key, because what we were afraid of was that when this got passed, was that if I decide not to hire somebody because they're not a U.S. citizen, then I would open myself and the county up to liability. And so that was a stipulation in that bill, that there is no liability on the sheriff or the county governments for people who choose not to hire those. So I guess that's my opinion. I have no intention to hire a non-citizen at this point. And I know that, you know, legislators have taken some heat who voted for it, but it was it was really an opportunity to acquiesce, I guess, if that's the proper term, to the other side, to say, okay, we'll let you pass this, but sheriffs and chiefs have the ability not to do that. So it was really you know, just more of a Springfield thing than anything else. I have no intention to hire a non-citizen.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anything else on the report? We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. End of year statistic update.
Yeah, I think Kelly has the quick PowerPoint. I'll try to run through this as quickly as I can. The first page is simply just our mission statement, and I think probably the most important mission statement is the last line, which says, "We're dedicated to working with the community to enhance the quality of life for all." I think that's important for everybody in Kankakee County. So you can go to the next slide. So this is a list of constituents who are served by municipality, and the sheriff's office actually is responsible for over 34,000 people who live in our unincorporated area. We have the largest amount of citizens that we are responsible for, as well as the 680 square miles of the entire county. So even though we patrol the unincorporated area, that's approximately 640 square miles. Sometimes we get criticized because somebody sees a squad car in the middle of Kankakee or in the middle of Bourbonnais, and one of the main responsibilities for the sheriff's office is the service of papers. No other law enforcement agency in the county serves papers, so we serve papers to all 107,000 citizens in the county. So that's one of the reasons you'd see a squad car in the city.
But you covered Kankakee City too.
What's that, Steve?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you do cover Kankakee City at times as well too.
Not unless they ask us for assistance. I mean, they cover their own, but
yeah, but what I'm saying, that does happen.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And I'll talk a little bit about something that happened last week that involved the city. So, yeah, no doubt. I mean, we work in every, like I said, we work together. So if Bradley calls us for assistance, if Bourbonnais calls us for assistance, we go if we can. Incidents by month and time of day, kind of interesting. If you look, the highest incidents as reported is 1, 2, and 3 a.m. So anybody who says the midnight shift isn't doing anything is sadly mistaken. So these are just some numbers that help us kind of determine, how we want to assign our staff and what we do. The next page, sheriff calls by police beat. this number actually was kind of interesting to all of us as we put these numbers together. Our police beats are broken up into Area A, Area B, and Area C. Area A is certainly the western part of the county. Area B is the northeastern part of the county, and then areas C and D are the eastern part of the county, with D being Pembroke Township and C being Sun River Terrace and the Village of Hopkins Park. And if you look at those numbers, and I wish I had a pointer because I know those numbers aren't very good to see, but in the top, area C and D, the number of calls there is really equivalent to area A, which is kind of interesting because everybody thinks that everything happens, all the bad things happen out east in Pembroke and Hopkins Park, and we're responding to as many calls out west as we are, in the eastern part of the county. So and that's why we do these things, to make sure that we're able to police with accurate data and what that does for us. So kind of interesting. You'll see that area B obviously has the most calls, but remember, it's the highest populated area, and we also serve papers there, so that's included in some of our calls. So that's why that number is higher than the other three beats. Domestic related incidents, we've talked since really COVID, even though it was a problem before COVID, but it spiked during the COVID lockdowns. And of the 3,614 domestic related incidents, which are countywide, that's every police agency in the county, 259 of them resulted in an immediate arrest, which is about 14% of the calls that we respond to. Now, people are going to say, well, that's not very high. However, when a domestic call comes out on the radio, that's what it is. It's a call, it's a domestic call. But when we get there, it may be something different. It may be unfounded. So there are reasons that there are not immediate arrests. The offender could have left the area, which happens a lot. So we get called, there's a domestic call. The two people who were in the domestic, whether it was husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, one of them could have left the scene, and we would potentially arrest them later. Interestingly enough, of the 733 domestic related incidents that happened that the sheriff's office responded to, 48 of them resulted in immediate arrest, which is 15%. So very consistent countywide with what's going on with our domestic cases. So we completed 314 domestic related case reports, and the remainder of those calls were either unfounded, otherwise cleared, or not domestic related. So this graph, I want to spend a lot of time on it because we talk about this pretty much every month. This is just a graph dating back to 1990 of the homicides by year countywide. And these are not broken down to any specific jurisdiction. These are strictly countywide numbers. Accidents, this is just a map showing that where we are responding to vehicle accidents across the county. You can see that no one spot is much greater than another spot. So but it's valuable information for us to have, because it allows us, if it were to show that there were significant numbers in certain places, it would allow us to utilize our staff better to get to those places. So, and fatal accidents countywide. And our numbers, and I talked to Bob before, because our numbers always differ on this, and they differ for basically one reason. If there's a or if there's an accident in town and they get flown out to a Chicago hospital, we don't count that as a fatal in our county, or vice versa. Do I have that wrong, Bob? Yeah, or do I have it right? Yeah. So it's still a fatal, but it didn't happen in our county, so we don't count it. And so, did you skip one? Is there one after that? No. Okay. Must have slid through the scanner or something. Traffic citations. This is also an interesting number. You can see the heat map up on the upper left where a lot of the citations and warnings. This is the sheriff's office numbers only. If you look at the monthly, there is a monthly graph on the right-hand side that shows, it's not a graph actually, but it's numbers that show that basically 9 out of the 12 months of the year, we wrote more warnings than we did citations, which, as I know I've told this committee before, traffic enforcement isn't about, or it is about public safety, it's not about the money. So we want to keep our roadways safe. Our deputies do not always write citations when they make a traffic stop. As I've said before, you know, a lot of it is 50-50. That's about what the numbers equate out to. It's 50-50 whether you're going to get a citation or not. And probably one of the main factors ends up with attitude. If you get stopped, you're cordial, you say, hey, I screwed up, good likelihood you're going to get a warning. If you want to curse out the officer and show an attitude, you're probably going to get a ticket. Burglaries and thefts by time of day. This is when they are reported. So the majority of them are reported at 1 a.m., probably between 12 and 1 a.m., and then 9 and 10 a.m. So either somebody came home from being gone overnight, and then they have I mean, that number is strictly when they're reported, not when they occurred, because a lot of times if somebody's gone for a few days, we don't exactly know when it happened. So that's strictly by time of day. Next one. Arrests made by year. This is sheriff's office only. You can see that those numbers have gone up slightly in 2023. And same thing, arrests by months. You can kind of see the, you know, October, November, they were down significantly. And they're kind of just a steady trend, but they are trending up. Arrests made by year, all agencies. You can see in 2018 and 2019 how high it was. Over 3,500 arrests countywide. In 2021, 22, there was a significant reduction. Obviously, COVID probably played a factor in that in 2020. And it kind of maintained itself, and probably trending up due to a lot of things involving the Safety Act, a lack of accountability, not holding people in jail, and they get out and get arrested again. So those numbers will probably start to trend up a little bit as well. A couple jail issues, the bookings by month, how many we're booking in. A total in 2023 of 3,036. So if you look at that, if you can see the print on the right-hand side, the first line where it says the total bookings were 3,036, but the total inmates were 2,324. That's because a lot of the same people were booked in multiple times. In fact, we've got one subject that was booked in 14 times in 2023. And another was booked in 10 times. So, and that's only going to get worse. Local bookings by arrest type. If you look at the number one, 40% of the arrests for those getting booked in our jail are warrants. And I know that you've all heard me talk about warrants, and the supporters of the Pretrial Fairness Act will tell you that it won't have any effect on people appearing in court. I'd like to say I respectfully disagree, but I'm just going to flat out say it's BS. Because those of us working in the system see it every day, as opposed to our legislators trying to coddle the criminals. So that number's not going to go down. And then local bookings by agency. You have all the agencies that we book for in the jail, and those numbers are can certainly, and we can, if you want, I can email this to you. I'll take out some of the stuff from on the back when I get to the back, but you can email it to the full board so you can see it and analyze it yourself. And a couple things that happened during 2023 with our department. Deputy Aaron Hoffman was recognized by the Chicago Fraternal Order Police Distinguished Service Award. He was a lateral police hire last year, but while he was with the Chicago PD, he and his partner, Officer Nicholas Shalaki, actually found I believe it was a 13-year-old child who was snatched from a park bench in South Shore, and they apprehended the suspect, preventing further harm. During the interview of the suspect, he told them that had those two officers not shown up, that this girl was going to get killed. So pretty proud of Deputy Hoffman, even though it happened in Chicago. There are good things happening everywhere, and we're glad to have Deputy Hoffman with us. So credit to him. For those that missed the Veterans Court graduation on 11/9 of 23, Alan Lynch, who was a former U.S. Army officer and recipient of the Medal of Honor, was the guest speaker at Veterans Court, and he was very interesting to listen to. If you get a chance to show up at a graduation, they are worth the price of admission, which is free, but certainly worth watching what good things happen in Veterans Court. Women in Law Enforcement, a group of area law enforcement ladies, spoke at Olivet, and they do this annually. And we had 3 or 4 of our deputies who were a part of that process. We're proud of what they do for us as well. The 100 Club Dinner, for those that didn't attend the 100 Club Dinner, we got to listen to Coach Matt Painter, who is the head coach of Purdue. And as of yesterday, before 8 o'clock, they were the #1 team in the country, although they got beat by Nebraska last night. So more than likely they won't be #1, but he was great to listen to. What a perspective of developing young men throughout the NCAA. And our honor guard was fortunate enough to be able to meet him and take pictures with him, and it was quite a night. So, and then we wore purple in recognition of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Some of our deputies participated in the Pembroke Food Drive to help feed those in need out in Pembroke. And we also participated, a large group participated in the Jingle Bell Run. One person you won't see in that picture is me, because it says run. However, we did sponsor the Jingle Bell Run, and we had a great group of people who participated that benefits arthritis. And of course, our annual Shop with a Cop, which has been going on now for 32 years. It's so much fun to watch our officers and officers from all over the county talk with the kids and the kids' faces, and every child went home with things, and we know they had a good Christmas. And they are also, in addition to some of the Christmas presents they get food for a nice Christmas dinner, a ham, and all the fixings. And it's a really great event. So that's kind of a nutshell 2023. And hopefully, although we feel like 2024 is going to offer more challenges in a number of ways, we're looking forward to 2024.
I'd like to take a motion to put this on file at least. We don't need to approve it. Mr. Hunter with a motion, second by Mr. Long. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What else?
I have a couple short things. I just want to let this committee know that I did, only because there's a short window, I did order vehicles. Knowing that obviously nobody has approved the purchase of them. We're not purchasing anything. We don't know if these vehicles are going to show up in 6 months or 2 years. So we put an order in. If these vehicles come in, we're going to simply, we'll obviously come back to the committee, ask to purchase them. If for some reason we're in a position where we can't, trust me, those dealerships won't have a problem getting rid of them. So, but we did order them, so they are being ordered for specifically Kankakee County. But again, we won't do anything until we get obviously the approval of this committee and the full board. So, and our staffing levels in corrections has gone up significantly over the last couple months, which is a good thing. We've eliminated a lot of the overtime. We still have some, but they've done a great job in getting correctional officers in our building, and our deputies are still at full staff. So we don't have that issue. I don't know if some of you saw Lake County, which is a very big county, has a very big jail, are actually housing 150 of their inmates in McHenry County because they are down 40% from their staffing and corrections. That's in Lake County. So we are very fortunate to have the staff we have. Chief Kalawenzu, Chief Schultz, Chief Woods have done a wonderful job. Chief Azarelli, I don't want to forget her, in recruiting and going out and finding people, quality people to work in our jails. So
I have one question first. You mentioned vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of damage was on the squad car from the chase that went through the whole county?
Minimal.
Minimal?
Yeah, it was well, let me rephrase that. It was minimal compared to what we've had in the past. So, which means it wasn't total. You know, and that's I forgot to bring that up. I said I would. There was a chase last week, a pursuit that involved an individual's car who was involved in a shooting in the city of Kankakee. By the time, obviously, when police responded to the address, the car was gone, but they did have a description of the car. That car was picked up, I believe, in Bradley, and ended up going out through Momence, back down 17. And some of you I know, because I got phone calls, saw the chase coming by the county building. And it was, you know, they weren't going to stop. I mean, you know, our guys did a great job. Kankakee City picked up the pursuit as they got into the city. State police was involved as well. And, but no, they did a great job in getting this guy into custody. And like I said, he wasn't fleeing from a traffic stop. He was fleeing from shooting somebody. So this is somebody that we definitely wanted off the street. You know, nobody was hurt. But that's the call. I mean, that's a tough call. The value of, and it's not, you know, we're in the pursuit trying to make a decision whether we want to continue it based on not only our officer safety, but the safety of anybody else who's driving in a car. I mean, that's what people forget, except we're cognitively thinking of that. The guy who's fleeing is not. So he doesn't care who he hits. He hit, I believe he hit a car in Momence, a car or two in Momence. So, you know, they just want to get away. And that's what puts people in danger. And again, when you talk about, you know, the Safety Act language of being a danger to the community, what exactly does that mean? I mean, I can define danger to the community a lot. There's a lot of ways to find somebody's a danger to the community. And I truly think that at some point during this process, as you know, crime continues to go up, people get put in harm's way when they shouldn't be. I think at some point there are going to be, you know, our judicial system statewide probably needs to expand their definition of what danger to the community is. And I'm sure judges don't want to hear that, but that's a reality. We need to define that in a broader sense as to what exactly a danger to the community is. Mr. Hunter brought up the chase that was involving the carjacking, and those individuals were released. Really? I mean,
and they did recover a gun.
And they got a gun. Yeah. So that's where the frustration comes on the law enforcement side. And honestly, it would be easy for law enforcement to just say, you know what? The heck with this. Why am I out here busting my tail to do all this stuff, get these bad guys off the street when they're just gonna come in, get processed, and then get released. So there's a frustration on law enforcement side of these individuals who are a danger to the community, but depending on your definition of what that is, some people may not feel like they're a danger to the community. So, just my 2 cents, probably talk too much.
Mr. Hunter.
Sheriff, magnanimous report overall, really informative. And, you know, being on the county board, you know, it is a role for you guys as department heads to teach. And I think some folks are, well, why is Hunter always asking questions? Because, you know, it's our role too to teach. You know, this stuff is streamed, and our constituents need to know about facts and data. And those questions which I generate as a means by which we inform our 106,000 constituents in the county. Couple questions. What's the status of the relationship with Champaign in terms of Jerome Combs, and also any movement on the community resources allocation that you made for Pembroke? Any movement yet from the school district out there?
No movement on Pembroke. What was your first question?
Champaign.
Champaign is remaining status quo. So that's a good thing.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Mr. Long.
Thank you very much for your report. The annual report is upbeat, and I certainly like that. I think you're the right guy for the right time, or the right time for the right guy, whichever you choose. But I ran across something in the news. It was a report on the 300 or so new laws. One of them kind of stuck out. I don't know if you've had time to look at that or can comment yet about that, but a reentry program that looks like it's going to be forced onto the counties. It says shall, not may, and it specifically points out that the sheriffs pretty much can't refuse that. Would you care to comment on that?
So that came out of Kane County, and that was from the Kane County State's Attorney, and I believe the sheriff there. And the concept of it is good, but there is some language in there that says sheriffs can refuse to participate. And my response to our association, and we're actually working on it, in fact, Representative Haas is filing legislation. I said, first of all, I think the idea is good. Having people come back from prison, because right now, under the Safety Act, there are certain people who are getting out of prison right now who don't have to be on mandatory supervised release, or what they call parole. So you get out of prison with not many resources. You're coming back to a situation that probably got you in trouble in the first place, and nobody's there to assist you. So the concept of it is really good. And so my response was, I would be more than happy to participate as long as they paid for it, which it's the state of Illinois, so who knows?
Right.
But she is submitting legislation to that effect, that sheriffs will be compensated for, you know, all we're doing in the way it's written now, if somebody were to come back here and us provide services for, we'd be providing services at the taxpayer's expense, which is going to happen anyway, because we may end up rearresting them. But nonetheless, we need to be compensated for housing them, for providing training to them, for providing resources to them. Medical. Liability. Yes. It's just like a per diem, just like the marshals or anybody else. So yeah, we're well aware of that one, and we've kind of got ahead of it, I think.
Chairman Wheeler.
And I don't know if we're ready for this conversation yet. We talked about redactions, and I didn't know if that's something you're going to be moving on before the next meeting, or to tell the committee why they may see another sworn officer. You know, if that we start talking that methodology, it's a safety act implication, but I didn't know if we had to have some more conversations.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think, you know, first of all, and the board as a whole gave me the opportunity to hire an additional person for what we would consider a redaction clerk, because body-worn cameras, you know, we are getting FOIAs for body-worn cameras. Right now, we are able to keep up, so we haven't pursued it yet. So I'm not just gonna go hire somebody because you gave me the money. We're gonna wait and play it out and see where it gets to. If I hire somebody and we don't need that person, you know, I don't think that's, first of all, I don't think that's beneficial to anybody. And so we're kind of waiting to see where that ultimately leads. But just a guess, it's gonna happen, whether it happens the middle of this year, whether it happens next year. I mean, it's gonna happen where we're gonna get overwhelmed with body-worn camera redaction, FOIA redaction, all kinds of stuff. Because Becky Powell, our EMA director, does all of the county's FOIA. She does the FOIAs countywide with the exception of the auditor for whatever reasons. But so she does every FOIA that we get with the assistance of the department heads and everything else. So, but she's getting to the point where the FOIAs are becoming a little burdensome, and the state's attorney's office also helps us as well. So we're not gonna hire somebody just to hire them, though, to your point.
And they're a source of requests for video as well.
Oh, yeah.
So people will go through them and ask for
and that's,
video.
That's the more difficult redaction, is trying to blur out faces on a body-worn camera or in-car camera.
So it will come, just not yet.
Right.
And it'll probably be a sworn position because of the skill set necessary. You're thinking.
I think from a law enforcement perspective, I think you need, because that information is law enforcement sensitive, so I think you really, it really would require a law enforcement person to be doing it.
I would agree.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other, Mr. Hunter?
Yeah, Sheriff, let me pose this question to you in a comment. Can you articulate the relationship with the NAACP in terms of the every other month working with law enforcement and kind of things that are discussed? Also, when you think in terms of jails, you know, our jail is not like a warehouse.
No.
There are opportunities for the inmates to receive assistance. You know, they're able to find jobs, counseling, programs like Thinking for a Change, changing the attitudes and the behavior modalities of the inmates. Could you speak to that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, historically, you know, the idea with the relationship with the NAACP, I mean, before we started the whole process, before Ferguson happened, I still felt that our relationship, law enforcement's relationship locally with the NAACP was a good one. They had good leadership at the NAACP. There was good leadership in Kankakee County, and we all kind of worked together. And what Ferguson did really is kind of, I don't want to say forced us, but it got us together for the common purpose. And that purpose was, we didn't want Kankakee to become Ferguson if by chance something happened.
That's the incident down in Missouri, guys.
Yeah, for those that don't know, for Matthew, for you that probably weren't born yet. Anyway, so what happened in Ferguson was unfortunate, and you know, we can talk about everything that happened down there and who was right, who was wrong, but bottom line is the relationship with the NAACP was such that, you know, we started meeting every other month with the police chiefs and executives from the NAACP. We've established that relationship, and I've said 100 times, the state NAACP branches should model what we've done in Kankakee for the aspect of being open with each other and open that communication for the benefit of not only members of the NAACP but members of law enforcement as well. I mean, that's one of our bigger accomplishments. I think that we've established that relationship, and so yeah, I mean, it's a great relationship. They don't always agree with law enforcement. We don't always agree with the NAACP, but we can sit down and talk through it. Establishing the emergency response team, the citizen response team through the NAACP and law enforcement has been a plus. It's been utilized a couple times. Fortunately, you know, everything has gone very well. So law enforcement, I know I can speak for law enforcement in general and say we are very pleased with the relationship that we've developed over the course of the last 10 or 12 years.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You know, what about the opportunities for the inmates?
Oh yeah, we are. You know, one of the things, and that was even going back further with the NAACP when we tried to pass referendums. One of the things that we promised the NAACP was at that time was that, you know, our old jail, we are not able to, because of the lack of space, provide a lot of things there. And one of the things that both Sheriff Bukowski then and myself, as the jail administrator, promised was we would have the facilities to have trainings that would benefit the inmates. And you mentioned Thinking for a Change. We have outpatient counseling, drug and alcohol counseling. We have anger management classes. We have GED classes. So to give those that are in custody an opportunity to leave our facility better than when they came in. So the opportunities are there. A lot of them take advantage of it. And, you know, the idea is not to see them come back to the jail.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Sorry it took so long.
Up next, Animal Control, Carrie Laird. You have a copy of the monthly report. Take a motion to approve that. Ms. Ritnick, Emmon, Mr. Long. Good morning, Carrie.
So
Comments on that?
for the report, one thing to note is on the back or bottom of it, under vehicles, we have all new vehicles now, which was a great success to our department. This year we put in a 2023 GMC Sierra, and last year 2 Dodge Rams, year before that a Transit van. So we do have an older vehicle that we use for utility, meaning just if an officer needs something or we need to go pick up something that has a empty bed in the truck, we have that capability to do that. So we have all new vehicles. It has been great for our department because it's less maintenance for the vehicles, less wear and tear on them. So that has been fantastic. For fiscal year 23, the $32,000 on the back, that goes, I keep saying on the back, on the bottom. For our numbers, the $32,000 goes for fiscal year 23. If you go down to the bottom by the mileage part.
Pull your mic down.
Sorry. I don't really have much else on the report. Unless you guys have questions on it.
Any questions on the report? We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
As far as the building, we have a bi-monthly meeting with White and our maintenance staff, and the sheriff and chairman are also on that meeting. We were informed that we are going to be without a transformer for the building. We can tie into the transformer that's down the road, but that won't let us operate our building fully with having the kennel open. So they are trying to make up another way to make that happen and get in our building, you know, around the time we planned in May or June. So that's a ComEd issue. It's nothing that White did or nothing on our end. It's a ComEd issue. It's a supply issue, which is a big issue with having it without a transformer. So everything else has been going great except for no power. So.
Okay, declaring this vehicle surplus, which one?
We have a 2014 Chevy Silverado, not the one that's on the report, a different one that needs to be declared surplus.
Do you have all this stuff for it? Huh? I don't have it.
I do, I have the mileage.
Hang on, maybe I overlooked it, I didn't see it there. Back here? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so we need to have a motion to declare this surplus. Mr. Hunter, second by Ms. Andrade. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else for Carrie? Thank you. Told you I had problems with these glasses. Up next, the coroner's office, Mr. Gessner. In the package, you have a copy of the coroner's monthly report and monthly receipts. Take a motion to combine and approve them by Mr. Eckhoff, second by Mr. Carrico. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chairman. How are you?
Just wonderful.
Good. Just going over our December when we started the new 2024. We basically had a low month, which is good. I had 135 calls. 20 of the calls were for coroners that had to go through medical records to find out what the cause of death is going to be, and we had 4 autopsies, 4 toxicologies, and other than that, with hospice referral. Referral means when the doctor's going to sign, and other than that, cremations that were due. That's about it. Nothing really. There's 5 pending cases left in 23, which we're wrapping up rapidly. So.
Any questions on the report? Have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Declaring vehicle or property as surplus.
Yes.
In the packet, you have a copy. It's a file storage racks. Take a motion to Mr. Hunter, Ms. Andrade. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. Really, the only thing I can talk about, everybody, all county board members should have received our annual 2023 final report, I should say. Thank you. And also, it's also available on our Kankakee-County-Coroner.org, Kankakee-County-Coroner.org. It's always on there. It's updated every day, Monday through Friday. So that gives you a head start of what's going on in our area. So other than that, if there's any questions that you read through it and you decide you want to ask a question, I'll take it, as of the next meeting or whenever. But I'll just give you some finals of our ODs. The ODs were down this year. We ended up with 34 cases of overdoses compared to in 2020 we had 50. In 2021 we had 43. In 2022 we had 51, and now we're at 34. Average age ended up being at 49 years of age, which nobody could ever guess. It's going to be 49. Youngest was 26. The oldest was 77. 21 males, 13 females. On Caucasians, 19. African Americans, 13. Hispanics, 2. And most of our ODs were single people. All the way, kind of educations, all the way from 8th grade, 9th grade education to high school, college degrees, associate degrees. So I did do a little difference in our fentanyl has been big all over the United States and also in Kankakee County. I think because of I hope it was because of all of our education we've been doing in Kankakee County that we've actually cocaine is had more cocaine overdoses than we did fentanyl. So it's but still a mixture, because fentanyl was 20 and cocaine was 21 and heroin is 4, where it used to be the highest. And meth has come up quite considerably. Cocaine's a little cheaper than the fentanyl, but fentanyl is between 80 to 200 more powerful than morphine itself. So it's still out there, but it's I say it's just, as I've always said, it's a mixture between cocaine and fentanyl, and it's just. I just saw a note yesterday. This the pinpoint of this right here, with cocaine or fentanyl on it. That's lethal death right there. So you can imagine how powerful that drug is. So I keep saying that all the time there because it breaks my heart sometimes to see people that die a lot of fentanyl or cocaine, and it's just something where we're continuing. We'll be at Kankakee Junior High School coming up here in the end of January, and hopefully to hit the high school. We're working with the Kankakee Fire Department on this, doing this particular program. We need to get in and talk to a lot of the younger kids. Sometimes it's hard. Principal don't want to think that there's anything going on in drugs in that particular area, but unless ashore there is, I'm sure there is. So. Other than that, that's it. Take any questions?
Any questions for the coroner? Well, let me be the first to wish you happy birthday tomorrow.
Do I have a birthday?
Yeah, yes, you do. I believe.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'll continue with being. I'll be 76 coming up here.
Young guy yet?
Young guy.
Yes,
you're
yes,
right.
you are.
We match each other, don't we?
A little bit. for 28 days or so.
God bless everybody.
Any old business come before the committee? Any old business? Any new business? Mr. Carrico? Make a motion?
to adjourn, sir.
Second by Ms. Andrade. All in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign.